Wanted to, before we get started, I wanted to genuinely thank you for taking me up on this debate. Like I said in that video you were responding to, I've had a lot of instances of right-wingers coming into my, and maybe you don't appreciate that description, I don't know, we can figure that out as we go, come into my chats and come into my comment sections and challenge me to debates, and then when I put the offer on the table and tell them how they can do it, they suddenly just disappear. So I genuinely appreciate you taking me up on that.
Yeah, man, of course, of course.
Cool. Well, as we talked about before we got started, I would like to make a few like preemptive comments, like slash statements, and this can be like my opening statement, and then you can have an opening statement, and then after your opening statement, you can choose to respond to anything that I said, or you can not respond to it. You know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So as I was saying to chat. I was kind of disappointed actually in Vosh's performance against you. It seems like a lot of what happens when you debate people is you make appeals to morality and to Christian theology and appeals to emotion. And what ends up kind of happening is there is this constant back and forth of like making analogies back and forth at one another, trying to get the other person to see your morality through that analogy. And I'm just like pretty uninterested in doing that. I don't think anyone's personal subjective moral system is grounds for national policy or grounds for controlling someone's body. So yeah, I'm generally, we can do that a little bit, but I'm generally uninterested in doing that. What I would like to actually do is talk about real world data, empirical evidence, and talk about what the effects are of abortion and access to birth control on society, economic development, women's prosperity, human prosperity. I would like to talk about real world data, and then we can talk about the inverse of that, which is from your position. We can talk about what the world would look like, or what the country would look like if your moral system, your policy framework was to be implemented. The second thing I wanted to say, and again, yeah, you can respond to any of these. So the second thing I wanted to bring up is I don't really appreciate the characterization of your position as being pro-life. That's why in this debate I've tagged you as being anti-abortion. I think pro-life entails a lot more than just wanting to force women to carry pregnancies to term. There are a lot more forms of life on this earth than just human life. The many millions of life forms, if I recall correctly. And yeah, so from that perspective, I think I'm actually pro-life because I extend moral consideration to basically all living things, and I don't really know how you can call yourself pro-life. Am I wrong in the assumption that you're an omnivore? Do you eat animals? Are you with me?
Hey, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said sure.
Okay, for sure. So I don't really know how you can call yourself pro-life with a belly full of dead sentient beings. Again, that's just my perspective on that one. I feel like when you call yourself pro-life by wanting to force women to carry pregnancies to term, but once they're born, you want to deny them education, you want to deny them health care. And you can correct me on these things after I'm done, because I'm just trying to deduce your positions, because we've never met before, we've never talked. So if I'm wrong about any one of these things that I'm saying, then go ahead and call me on it. That's fine. I'm just forced to kind of deduce these things because we haven't talked before, we haven't met. So yeah, and then the third thing is I just want to say that I find it like quite sad that we're in the year 2021. We have like really important pressing matters to get to. We have 500,000 homeless people in this country. We have hunger. We have child poverty. We are currently experiencing the 6th great mass extinction of planet Earth. The oceans are acidifying. The rainforests are burning down. And we still have this faction of people that is like dedicated to trying to control women's bodies, which there is just an overwhelming of sociological and economic data to support the idea that abortion and access to birth control contraceptives is really good for human society, human economic development. And again, we just have all these pressing issues to get to and address in our world and in our country, and we have to deal with this 5-6 decade old question of should women have access to birth control? And the floor is yours.
Okay. So, so a couple of things. I was just typing just to kind of sum up what you were saying.
For sure.
So, okay. So, for one, when you were talking about, you said that something about me bringing up abortion is based on Christian theology. It's not. I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious in any sense. I'm agnostic. I come strictly from a rights perspective. I mean, we should be able to agree that human persons have an equal right to life. If we don't agree that human persons have an equal right to life, then I would say that this debate is definitely pointless, because I wouldn't know how to reach you at that point. That would be like you saying like, well, I think that people should be able to have sexual relations with 10-year-olds. I'm like, well, no, and I don't even know how to reach you at that point. So anyway, so going back into this, so abortion is a philosophical debate, man. So, and I base it off of the right to life, and I think that generally the abortion debate is based on the right to life, and not only that, if it is justified to kill that life or not, right? I think it's pretty irrefutable. I don't think that you are unintelligent to the point to where you would not acknowledge that it is a life in the womb. I think we talk about personhood, and if they are justified in being killed due to the mother's usually bodily autonomy as an argument, and so on and so forth. So when you're talking about things like bringing up solutions to abortion, like, either contraception or education, or, you may talk about healthcare or whatever it may be, I think that that's fine to discuss, but that doesn't have anything to do with if it should be legal or illegal, right? Just as I think that coming up with solutions to lowering rape or lowering murder is great. We need to come up with solutions to, ensuring that we can lower that, but that doesn't mean that it still shouldn't be illegal, right? So, even if you could provide me data, irrefutable data, to where if somehow abortion was still made legal, but it will somehow lower the amount of abortions, I'd say, okay, that's interesting, but it doesn't matter to me, because I'm like, well, it should still be illegal because, you are still killing an innocent person, right? So, yeah, so that's kind of where I come from it from there. And then kind of just going into like why I'm pro-life, just so the audience, if they've never, heard me before, they can go ahead and kind of hear my stance, and then you can, talk about it, and we'll, talk as the conversation progresses. So I believe that the most logical conclusion is that personhood begins at conception. In addition to that, all human persons have an equal right to life, and the killing of a person that you force to become dependent on your body would generally qualify as homicide. And then specifically to parents, legal guardians are required to feed, shelter, and provide reasonable care for their children, which happens in the womb. If you want to talk about, the minute cases when it comes to like rape, that we can go ahead and talk about, those 0.2% cases of rape, that's fine. I'm happy to talk about it if you want, though I think that, if we're debating in good faith, we probably are going to focus on, the other 99%. So, yeah.
For sure. Was there anything in my initial statement that you wanted to address?
No, I think we could just, get into it.
For sure.
Everything that you said, you didn't actually tell me why you're pro-choice. You just said that you want to focus on other things.
For sure. Yeah, I have arguments for that. And like I said, those initial comments, they weren't necessarily directly related to the argument. They were just kind of contextualizing statements that I wanted to make. So you said that personhood begins at conception. How do you know that?
Well, I believe that it's just the most logical conclusion.
That's begging the question. You're begging,
it's not begging the question. It's saying that it's the most logical conclusion.
No, that's like the definition of begging the question. You're just saying that your position is right because it's the most logical conclusion. How do you know that life begins at conception?
That's not what begging the question means. Begging the question means that you believe this because anything other, or you don't know, or you are ignorant to like the other or the opposition. Like, for instance, if I say that God is real, because I don't see any evidence that God isn't real, that would be like begging the question.
No, let me
right?
help you out here. Here, let me help you out here. As defined by Wikipedia, and you can take issue with my source. We can find another source, but it's going to say the same thing. In classical rhetoric and logic, begging the question or assuming the conclusion is an informal fallacy that occurs when an argument's premise assumes the truth of the conclusion. You're saying you're right because it's the most logical and obvious conclusion. How do you know that that personhood begins at conception?
I didn't say that I was right because it was the most logical. I said because it is the most logical, that is what I subscribe to. If there is some type of other logical stance, like if you can give me a more logical stance to where personhood wouldn't begin at conception, then I'm absolutely open to hearing that, and I could change my position. But based on the most logical standard, yes, it would begin at conception.
But what
Or it makes sense.
there we go again. But what logical standard? What logic are you using to arrive at that conclusion other than saying it's the most logical conclusion?
Yeah, that's fine. You can ask me that, and I'll go into it.
For sure.
So, so conception is when that new distinguishable human organism is created, and any expansion of that organism, like sentience, birth, the beginning of a heartbeat, whatever you want to say, is completely arbitrary, right? We go from a zygote, blastocyst, embryo, fetus, to outside the womb, neonate, adolescent, right? Every milestone after conception is just part of a human's developmental process. So because of that, the most logical conclusion of when personhood starts would be the beginning of that new organism's life.
Okay, I still don't, there's still a gap there from your position is basically that personhood begins at conception, and that's because that's just basically when the cells start to form, and that's when the quote unquote life begins.
So that's an oversimplification of what I just said. So that's part of it, right? But more so that anything else that you would try and define it as, like if you wanted to say sentience is what makes a person, or birth is what makes a person, right? All of those things are just milestones. They're just parts of a human's developmental process. You agree, right?
Yeah, sure. They are
part
they're part of how it is the process of how a life begins, I would suppose, but where a life begins and when it becomes a person is entirely socially constructed, is it not?
It is, and I just gave you my reasoning as to why, right? Because if everything, I don't know how to make this any more clear. If every single milestone, which you just agreed, if every milestone that increases the development of a human organism, if every single thing is just part of their biological developmental process, right? Everything is arbitrary, right? So the most logical conclusion would be that we would have to start at the beginning of that new organism's life.
Yeah, I don't agree whatsoever, and that is not how a person is classically defined. I can appreciate that that's how you see a person, and like I said, and like we both agreed, what a person is, personhood is socially constructed, and I can appreciate that that's how your socially constructed view of personhood is, but that is not how a person is classically defined. Again, we can go to Wikipedia, we can go to the Merriam-Webster. A person is a being that has certain capacities or attributes such as reason, morality, consciousness, or self-consciousness, and being a part of a culturally established form of social relations such as kinship, ownership of property, or legal responsibility. I don't think a clump of cells or a fetus has reason or morality or sentience, or aka self-consciousness.
Okay, so here's one thing. So you would just be appealing to authority here. So one thing that we're going to have to go over is that personhood is a philosophical argument, right? So you just reading whatever you're reading on Wikipedia doesn't make it true, right?
No, I'm going by the classical definition and consensus of person.
Let me finish, right? You're reading it from Wikipedia, and based on what I just heard from you, you said attributes of a person. Do you know what, or an attribute of a human? What was that you said?
Read that line again. Certain capacities or attributes such as reason, morality, consciousness, or self-consciousness.
Okay, an attribute to a person would be that they have human DNA. I mean, that's an attribute.
Sure, that can be an attribute. Yeah.
Okay, so then if we agree that that could be an attribute to, or that's is
one
an attribute to.
Many.
Sure, right, but your own source didn't say it has to have every single one of these things. It says that you need to have a human characteristic, a human attribute, and then they list examples of what they could be. It doesn't mean that they have to be those things or that they have to be all of those things. So when you just agreed that that sure, human DNA is a human attribute, then I could just say, okay, well, then there it is. It's a human attribute, so bam, it's a person. So that's why I'm saying, like, you just appealing to Wikipedia's definition, you would need to back up your assertion of why
you Wikipedia's definition. I'm appealing to societies, and I know you guys are big into like Western civilization. I'm appealing to Western civilization's definition of a person.
Okay, so that's still an appeal to. You're still appealing to authority. You would have to logically back up why you believe what you
said
believe.
earlier. You agreed with me early in the conversation that the definition of a person is socially constructed. This is the current consensus on our socially constructed definition of a person or personhood.
That's what's your. I don't know your name, so I don't know how to address it.
You can call me Critical. You can call me Mason. Either one.
What was the last name?
Mason.
Mason. Okay, Mason.
Yeah.
So here's. I feel like we're going in circles here. So here's what I'll just ask you a very direct question. Is your you still haven't given your argument as to why you are pro-choice? We're pretty far into this.
Oh, for sure.
So hold on. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to be very direct.
Yeah.
Is your position? I'm not trying to straw man you, so you go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong. Is your position that that it's not a person, so because it's not a person, you wouldn't consider it the killing of a person? Or is your position that it either is a person or it isn't, it doesn't matter because your argument is more bodily autonomy? So what is your position?
Yeah, my position is that it's not a person. It doesn't have sentience. It doesn't have morality. It doesn't have the capacity for reason or consciousness. And that comes up to a certain point. Like I am not pro abortion up to the point of birth. There is a point in which the fetus becomes viable inside the womb. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and argue that I am pro abortion or pro choice up to the point of birth. There is a point in the development of the human fetus in which it does develop consciousness and sentience, and it becomes viable outside of the womb.
Okay, so you're saying that consciousness is what, or sentience or whatever, is what makes a person deserving of moral consideration for life?
I think there is a number of different things, and that would be there's a number of different things that would define personhood and what a person is, and sentience would be at the top of that list of what a person is. Yeah.
Okay, so can you give me this list so we can go ahead and attack it one by one? I got sentience on here, so what's another thing?
So I would pretty much just go. I think I just totally agree with the Wikipedia definition. The capacity for reason, self-consciousness.
Okay, so all of that is based off of sentience. You can't have it without sentience. So you would just be arguing sentience then.
Okay, for sure. And like I said, I have pro-choice arguments to get to, but we can go ahead and work through this.
Okay. But I want to make sure that we agree. So you're talking about sentience, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and also, and I think that this is also important, just so that we're operating under the same framework here. When I am talking about abortion, because I think people can get hung up in like the semantics of what an abortion is. So when I am talking about an abortion, I am talking about the deliberate termination of that life, or the premature removal of that life if it is not medically necessary. Can we operate based on like that criteria?
I'm not entirely sure that I'm comfortable with that because, nature seems to be pro-choice as well. I mean, I'm sure you're aware what a miscarriage is. You know that not all pregnancies go to term, right? So it seems to be that nature itself is pro-choice. Pro-abortion, because I get that not everyone that has a miscarriage is wanting.
Okay, so what you're doing right now, you're presenting a naturalistic fallacy. Do you know what a naturalistic fallacy is?
I'm totally familiar with it.
Okay, so then you know that you're presenting a naturalistic fallacy. So you're saying because it occurs in nature that it must be either right, moral, or good. So that's not how that works.
On the flip side of that, you seem to think that all pregnancies result in a life coming into being, and that's just simply not the case. That's just a counterpoint.
Well, hold on, I didn't hear what you said. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Oh, so no, I'm not necessarily presenting a naturalistic fallacy. I'm presenting. So you seem to believe that a pregnancy always results in a life coming into being, and that is not the case. That just simply is not the case. And
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. 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 So you hold on. Are you saying that you're gonna have to clarify? I'm not trying to straw man you. This is what I'm hearing with what you just said.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you saying that when a woman is pregnant, that every time that a woman is pregnant, there isn't a new life? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because there's
Okay, please
miscarriages happen
explain
all
that.
the time.
Please explain that.
Yeah, what?
Please explain this.
Yeah, I just did. A number, like, I don't know what the percentage is, but a number of pregnancies result in miscarriage. You seem to think that every time a woman is inseminated and becomes pregnant, that a new life comes into being. And I'm saying that that's not at all the case, because miscarriages happen.
Mason, you are conflating. Look, you yourself even distinguish a difference between life and persons, right?
A person would be a form of life. I don't distinguish between.
I get that. But do you agree that a person, when we're talking about personhood, like a person deserving of the moral consideration for life, do you subscribe to it being different than just being life? There's a difference, right?
A person being just different than life. I guess you have to explain a little bit more. I'm not entirely
sure. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, because you are conflating personhood when we're having a personhood debate, which is fucking weird. But so you are conflating personhood, which we were just arguing, with just life. If you are taking the position that there is not a new life, like, I'm not even talking about a person deserving of consideration, I am just talking about life. If you are arguing that there is not a new life in a woman once she becomes pregnant, you would be going against any type of science that you could come up with. So is that the position that you're holding?
You're asking me if I'm distinguishing between personhood and life. Am I getting that correctly?
I said that a couple times. Yeah.
Is personhood different than life? I mean, like I said, a person is a form of life. Not all life is a person. So
Mason, I can break this down for you right now, because if you don't subscribe to what I just said, then this debate is over and you conceded. Because if you are saying that that life and personhood are synonymous with one another, then you would have my position. Really, you would say, okay, well, because it is new life, it must be a person. Hold on, let me finish, and then you can rebut. And because that there is new life, definitively, scientifically, there is new life at conception. If you say life and personhood is the same, then you would say they are a person at conception.
No, I very clearly distinguish between the two. A person is a type of life. Not all life is a person. A fetus in the womb of a clump of cells is not necessarily a type of life, because it does not have sentience. It is not aware of its own existence. It does not have the capacity for reason. It does not have the capacity for morality. It doesn't have any of the characteristics that we would assign to personhood. At a certain point, that's fine. I agree. And somewhere in the third trimester, it does become a person and a form of life.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I'm trying to get you to establish, because what you said, so do you roll back what you said earlier? Because what you said earlier, and I'm going to restate what you said, is that you're saying that every time or not every time that a woman becomes pregnant, that there is a life there. So I think what you're trying to say is that there's not a person there.
With what I just said. That's entirely consistent with what I just said. Not every time that a woman is inseminated and becomes pregnant is a life formed. The life only forms at a certain stage along the fetal development. That is entirely consistent with what I just said.
Okay, Mason. What data do you have that a life is not formed at conception?
What data do you have that a life is formed at conception?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll drop it in the Discord for you. So, I mean, what do you want? You want the University of Chicago study where conducted over 5,500 biologists, 95% agreed that human life begins at conception. What's even more interesting about that specific study that I can give you?
Please drop.
I'll give that to you.
Go ahead.
What's even more interesting for the viewers and the listeners is that 89% of those people that or of those biologists that agreed that human life begins at conception, 89% of them were identified as liberal, and 85% of them identified as still being pro-choice. So I can give you that one. I can give you a link to over 40 medical textbooks that reference life beginning at conception. I can give you the reference to American College of Pediatricians that acknowledges that life begins at conception. I can give you a fucking a citation where
I'm waiting on any one of them. So
I'll give you all of them, because I'm nice like that. So check it out. So hold on. Copy that. Drop this into the motherfucking chat. All right, here's the first one. That one is University of Chicago. Here is this one that cites over 40 medical textbook references that life begins at conception. Still in circulation in schools today. And then here is the link to the American College of Pediatricians that acknowledges that life begins at conception.
Zoom in here real quick for chat.
I really didn't think we were going to get here. I didn't think that you were going to deny that life begins at conception, but okay.
Real quick, I'm trying to just
take that. No problem. Take all the time you need
in the abstract.
No worries, man. I'm a patient guy. That's a lie. I'm not patient, but still, take your time.
Okay, the participants were separated in 60 groups, and each statement was affirmed by a consensus of each group, including biologists that identified as very pro-choice, 69 to 90%, very pro-life, very liberal, very conservative, strong Democrats, and strong Republicans. Overall, 95% of all biologists affirm that the biological view that a human's life begins at fertilization. Historically, a descriptive view on when life begins has dictated the normative view that drives America's abortion laws. Abortion was illegal at quickening under okay, so the thing is that I'm confused about here is the sample. Who are the biologists that were sampled in this first study that you've sent me? The from the what is it?
So it was taken. Well, yeah, and it wasn't just biologists that were just strictly in Chicago. If you read into it, I don't have the exact thing. I could try and go through it. But they actually took it from all over the world, not even just the West. They took it from all over the world. I think they took from places in Europe and I think another place in Asia, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They actually, and to be fair, they actually sent it out to like 60-something thousand biologists, but then like 5,500 or whatever actually participated.
Okay, it says to determine if the view, if one view is more prevalent today, 2,899 American adults were surveyed and asked to select the group most qualified to answer the question of when a human life begins. The majority selected biologists. Okay. Academic biologists were recruited to participate in a study on their descriptive view of life, their descriptive view of when life begins. A sample of 5,502 biologists from 1,058 academic institutions assessed statements representing the biological view of human life begins at fertilization. Interesting.
Yeah, so over 1,000 different institutions. So, I mean, are you still going to hold the position that life doesn't begin at conception?
Am I still going to hold the view that life doesn't begin at conception?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, if this is what if life begins at human conception according to this sample of biologists, why is it the case that these human lives, they've been identified as human lives? If we have legal if there is a consensus that life begins at conception, why is it not the case that these lives don't have legal representation?
Well, that would be your side. That's not my side. So my side believes that they should, because they are, that they should have legal representation, or at least legal representation to the extent minimum that they have at least the right to life. Now, if you're asking me to argue for you, want me to argue your own pro-choice position? If you want me to argue that, then somebody like Vosh, which you've seen that debate, so you should be able to understand what he's saying. Is that he's like, look, it doesn't even matter if it is a person deserving of or is classified as a human person or not, because his stance is bodily autonomy. And when pro-choicers usually go with bodily autonomy, it doesn't matter.
Haven't gotten to the core of my argument. I've just kind of been responding to what you've had to say. I still have yet to get to my arguments. Look,
okay, because I'm arguing for you now.
No, what are you talking about?
I'm presenting arguments for you. You just said I had to present like the opposing argument for you.
No, you didn't. You presented an argument that supports you. You presented me a paper of biologists agreeing of when life begins. That's your argument.
Mason. You just asked me what is or why if the consensus is that they are a human life at conception. Why don't they have legal representation? That completely goes against the pro-life position I was arguing. I had to give you an argument for the pro-choice position.
No,
So
look,
I did do that.
I've very clearly stated that life that personhood begins when a person or a life develops sentience. When or we're talking about personhood, not all life. So personhood develops when a fetus or a person develops consciousness, sentience, the capacity for reason, these sorts of things. So
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And I'm happy to argue against that. But Mason, we're only stuck here because this is what you said. You said that it is not that every time that a woman gets pregnant, that there is not a new life there at conception. That is when we went into this, and I gave you the study for the University of Chicago, amongst other studies. So, is your position? I'm going to be very direct. Is your position still that life itself does not begin at conception?
Yeah, well, like I said, a person is a form of life. Not all life is a person. Personhood begins when a person develops the characteristics of a person.
That's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you if you still hold the position that life, human life, does not begin at conception. Do you hold that position, or do you concede
that a human life does not begin at conception? Yes. Yeah, I do.
You do what?
I still hold that position. Yeah.
Okay, so even with the University of Chicago study that I gave you, the reference to over 40 medical textbooks, the American College of Pediatricians, and I can give you another one on the U.S. Senate committee hearing.
Appealing to authority now because of a bunch of biologists.
This isn't an appeal. Oh my God, bro! This is not. First of all, you asked me for these references, so that's the first thing.
I did.
You can't say,
yeah,
"Oh
sure.
well."
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Educate myself.
Okay, so let me finish. Let me finish.
I learned that a bunch of biologists agree that life begins at conception. Great.
Okay, Mason, let me finish.
Begin at conception, so no.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Mason. Let me finish. You can't just say that, Tyler. Are you appealing to authority when you asked me for the fucking references?
Well, no, you
and then I gave
a rhetorical tactic when I was giving the definition by Wikipedia of what a person is. You said I'm appealing to authority when you provide a paper from the University of Chicago saying, "Oh, a bunch of authorities say that life begins at X." That's not an appeal to authority.
No, that's not the same thing, Mason, because when I'm talking about, or when you were talking about, oh, well, this is what personhood should or shouldn't be, you weren't actually giving any logical, what's the word I'm looking for? Any type of logical explanation to why it was. You were just saying, oh, well, just because of this. I'm just giving you, if you disagree with this is fine. Okay. If you disagree with the University of Chicago, is that what you're saying? That you disagree with the 5,500 biologists and the 40 medical textbooks and the American College of Pediatricians? Are you saying that? Do you disagree with them?
I haven't reviewed any of the sources, so I can't attest to what any of the other ones said. I've only looked at the paper.
Mason, didn't you tell in your video? Didn't you say that right wingers are so uneducated, and I have to educate you that life begins at conception? This is shit that even at liberal fucking high schools they teach you this in fucking 9th grade bio.
Okay, you can keep posturing, but you're not making a point.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's just move on. Let's just go ahead and move on. Let's move on to the personhood. let's go ahead and move on. All right. So you're saying that
a person has legal protections under the law. I mean, the definition of what a life is can be totally arbitrary. So you're pro-life. So do you want to extend legal protection to all forms of bacteria, my guy? Or we're talking about humans, right? Like, can you substantively differentiate between a human fetus that's in the very beginning stages of conception and development, where it's a single-celled organism or a multicellular organism and a bacteria, and what are the differences and why should legal protection be extended to one and not the other?
Yeah, so I guess you don't remember my opening statement, but my opening statement is about human persons, right? So even just you're saying
so that's the now only it's like your persons there are, right? Is human persons.
Well, that's arguable, and the reason why I'm not saying that I'm arguing it, but it is a form. well, I'm not saying that I'm arguing for it. I haven't really solidified my stance on this, but there are arguments out there that if, for instance, if we were to be able to create like AI, like artificial intelligence, would they be considered? They might be considered persons, but not human persons, right? So, yeah, so that's a debate. So I'm not going to get into that. I don't know one way or the other. I haven't really thought about it, but I'm just telling you that. So anyway, so my My moral framework is about granting it to human persons. When you're talking about bacterium, right, that's not a human person, right?
What is the substantive difference between a single celled
human
fetus?
human DNA, Mason.
Okay, so you want full legal protection extended to all human DNA?
That's not what I said, and you're strawmanning my argument. No,
I'm
what
trying
I
to pin it
want.
down and figure out what it is.
Okay, so what I want is I want to make sure that that human persons have protection minimum, right? We don't so like for instance, we don't extend every legal protection to every human person in this country, right? We don't extend the exact same thing because like for instance, illegals, like illegal immigrants, they are not given the same exact uh legal protections in everything. Now, that being said,
which is unfortunate,
they
should
do
not be the case.
they
But anyway,
I understand what you're well. I don't necessarily agree in every aspect because I mean you're talking about like I don't want to get too far into this because I really want to stay on abortion. But
sure.
for instance, like an illegal alien being recognized that they have like the right to own like full auto, like fully automatic weapons or grenades or tanks. Like some people can have tanks here in this in this country. So I don't think that makes sense to just afford anyone who's illegal over here to be able to have that. But I digress. So but what they do give, what we do extend to illegal aliens or illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, undocumented, whatever people want to call them. What we do extend to them is we extend to them minimum the right to life, or at least we should extend to them the right to life, right? So so when you're talking about human persons, so when you're talking about human persons in the womb, because it is a human person, that they should be extended at minimum the right to life.
Yeah, when we're talking about human persons, sure.
Okay, so now we can move on to what you're saying, what makes a person, which is you're saying sentience and consciousness, right?
Sure.
Okay, so are you arguing for the current capacity of sentience or the prospective capacity? And I can kind of break down the difference between the two if you want me to.
Go ahead and break down the differences between the two for the audience.
Sure. So so if you are arguing for the current capacity of sentience or consciousness, whatever, you would be arguing that you currently have to be experiencing said consciousness or like you and I right now, like currently are experiencing sentience, right? If you are arguing for the prospective capacity of sentience or consciousness, you would be arguing, okay, well, it can be of now or in the future.
Yeah, I know where this argument leads. You're going to say that, so someone that's experiencing brain death is not a person. I'm gonna say, well, yeah, they're still a person, but they don't have the full legal protections of the right to life, which is why we legally grant the next of kin the ability to, pull the plug.
I wouldn't have said that. No.
Okay.
You assume a lot of things about me, Mason. Like you assume I was going to say that. You assumed I was a Trump supporter. You assume that I'm an anti-climate changer. You've been wrong every step of the way.
Illegal again hats that are fashioned in the
make abortion illegal again. Does that have anything to do with Trump? Has Trump even ever said that? Are you
gonna gaslight me and say that hat's not supposed to look like a "Make America Great Again" hat? Because that's exactly what it is.
It's a parody. It's a parody. So hold on, Mason. So if I said "Make America Democrat Again," does that mean that I'm a Trump supporter?
No, that wouldn't.
If I put those words on a red hat, does that mean that I'm a Trump supporter? That's your logic right now.
No, but at that point, I would be assuming you're something like a blue MAGA person, which are I think you know what blue MAGA is.
Actually, I've never heard of that shit before.
Oh, it's basically the idea that like, oh, Trump was so bad, he was so horrible, we need to get back to before Trump, when we still bombed countries all around the world and we still detained migrant children in detention facilities. We needed the return, just like Trump did the "Let's Make America Great Again." Blue MAGA is the same kind of idea, but from a centrist Democrat perspective.
Okay, well,
it's a very common term.
So, I forgot how we even got onto that. We were talking about we were talking about sentience. So, Are you arguing for the current capacity or the prospective capacity?
I guess perspective. The thing is like I understand that there are certain instances where people lose sentience. Where people lose sentience and you know, again, in those situations, we don't extend the full legal protections and right to life to those types of people, which is why we have the ability to pull the plug and terminate their lives. But the thing is the argument for personhood does not entirely rely on sentience. It is just one of the criteria for personhood.
Okay, so for one, let me go ahead and attack that. So for one, we already agreed earlier on when I asked you to give me a list of everything that makes a person, and then you settled on only sentience after we went through that. So you said, okay, it's sentience. Okay, great. So now we're going to do that. So let's not bring up things. Oh, well, this is one amongst many when you already said that.
Look,
it's
I get that
sentience.
You want to make the conversation as reductive as possible because it helps your position, but that's not what I'm interested in doing.
Mason, I don't have to
very complex things like what is a life, what is personhood is very complex. There is a lot of criteria to it, but I understand why you would want to make this as reductive as possible because it helps your position.
I'm just reciting what you said, my guy. That's all I'm doing. I'm just reciting what you said. So
what I've said multiple times is there are multiple criteria to what is a life and what is a person. How do we define a person? That's what I've said.
Okay, so anyway,
sentience was one of several things that I listed.
Hold on, Mason. So, are you no longer live, buddy?
I'm alive. I'm sentient. I'm
No. I didn't say alive. I'm saying live on YouTube. Are you no longer live on YouTube?
Oh, shit. Your
live went out. Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Let's see. I'm still seeing it live. I'm still seeing.
Hold on. Let me see. Maybe it's on me. Be fucking up.
So I'm dual streaming right now to Twitch and YouTube. Sometimes, but it hasn't happened in a good while. Sometimes when I dual stream, it will die out. Let me double check my channel right now and make sure it's working.
Okay, we could even just ask people in the chat. Hey, if we are still live in the chat, can you give us a thumbs up, please, just to make sure that we are all good? Because on my side, I lost it. And it kind of kicked me out of here, so I just want to make sure. Okay, so people are saying that we're still up, so we're good. Okay, that was my mistake. So
real quick, Alpha Dragon Gaming, dude, look at his upper lip. You can tell he's getting frustrated. Literally, what the fuck are you talking about? Your guys are seething so fucking hard, just melting down, hoping you can say something, anything to shake me. No one's lip is trembling, you fucking lunatics. My God, chill out.
Right,
my live stream is still showing. It shows.
Okay, that's cool.
Watching.
Please, just to make sure that we are all okay. Good. Yeah, people are saying that they just had to refresh.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. Now, when we're talking about sentience, so what you're saying is actually incorrect because you're assuming I'm going to bring up brain death. If you're brain dead, you're dead, right? That's a form of death, right? This cardiovascular death, heart stops, or when you are brain dead, you're dead.
Well, no,
so
you're,
two different.
You're brain dead. Your heart's still beating. There are still legal protections afforded to you. You are still technically defined as a person.
That's incorrect.
When you're brain dead.
That's incorrect, Mason. If you are brain dead, your heart is not beating. If you're saying that when you are brain dead, could we keep your heart beating through some type of technological advancement? Sure, but if left alone, you are dead, Mason.
Hold up, I'm turning up my mic real quick. I'm getting a request to turn up the mic. All right. Okay. That's not. I'm sorry. That's not how society sees it. Look, we don't have to get lost down this sidetrack. I was trying to, I
don't give a shit how society sees it. I give a shit about what you are arguing, and I want to know what you think so that I can either debunk or agree. So I'm telling you that what you're saying is wrong, Mason. Hold on. Are you saying that when you are brain dead, that your heart is still beating?
That is my current understanding, or at least you can be kept alive.
I said that already. I said that it doesn't mean that you can't keep your heart beating through some type of medical technology, but without said medical technology, if you are brain dead, right, does your heart beat without some kind of medical technological intervention?
Isn't that beside the point? I'm talking about what we define as a person.
No.
Society still defines a person that's brain dead as being a person.
Oh my God. Okay, so fuck it. I'm gonna just move on. So okay, so when you're talking, so you said that you were going by the perspective capacity, right, Mason, of sentience?
Yeah.
Okay, so of now or in the future. Okay, cool. So if you're saying that of now or in the future is what makes a person, then this is just one question really. Does will a zygote in the future have sentience?
No, it doesn't. But I would argue. No, but I would argue that future persons at least deserve moral consideration. That's not to say that they are a person because they're in the future. They're not yet alive. They don't currently exist. Their existence does not obtain in this present moment. But future persons deserve moral consideration because of like we have an obligation to them. People are going to continue to be born. People are going to continue to exist. So we should extend moral consideration to future generations that do achieve personhood, that do come into being and become a person.
Hold on. Man, you really just conceded. So hold on. So I there's two things that I have that I have an issue with here.
I didn't concede anything, my dude. When
you did, I'm gonna break down how you conceded, Mason.
Personhood and becomes a person.
Mason, let me respond. I just let you talk. Let me respond. So you just said, these are your words. I'm not saying anything other than your own words. You just said that if you are in the future, we grant you, or I'm sorry, if you are going to be a person in the future, that we should grant you moral consideration. You also said that a zygote or life at conception is not a current person, but they will become a person at some point. So by your own fucking deductive reasoning, bro, you would then say that, okay, because an embryo, hold on, let me finish. Because a zygote or an embryo, a fetus, whatever, because in the future they will be a person under your moral framework, we should still grant them moral consideration. You fucking conceded,
I didn't,
bro.
Dude, you are entirely strawmanning and mischaracterizing what I'm saying.
That's not a strawman.
Yes, it is. I'm saying once they obtain personhood, we know that people will come into personhood and into existence in the future. So we have a moral obligation. I didn't even really finish the thought. We have a moral obligation to take care of the country, to take care of the economy, because there will be people in the future, and once they obtain personhood, we have a moral obligation to them. We have
I think you're just pro-life, Mason. I think that you grant moral consideration to people who will be or to lives that will be
once they obtain personhood. You can keep posturing. You can keep posturing.
Okay. So let's go to the second thing. Okay, so let's go to the second thing. The issue that I have, what you just said. So you said that you're arguing for the perspective capacity of consciousness or sentience, whatever you want to say. I relayed that to you of what that means. That would mean that either you have sentience or consciousness now, or in the future. You agreed to that. Okay. Then I asked you, does a zygote or an embryo,
if it doesn't have consciousness,
hold on, let me finish, bro. Let me finish.
If it doesn't have consciousness, will they have consideration?
Just give me like 10 seconds and then you can respond.
You've done a lot of talking in this debate.
Then I asked you. Then I asked you
that I'm not letting you talk.
Because I have to fucking educate you, Mason. Because I have never had to educate somebody so much
in a debate.
Anyone.
You're pushing your personal morality on me and thinking that's education, my dude.
And said that my entire group of people, that right wingers, are just so uneducated. I have never had to educate somebody that was so arrogant before. It's insane. So okay, so now you're saying that Mason, did you or did you not just say, I'm just going to ask you yes or no questions. Did you or did you not say that you are arguing for the perspective capacity of sentience? Did you or did you not?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you understand the definition that I gave you, that it is of now or in the future that you would have to have sentience to hold that position?
Yes, but where the fallacy is.
Can I just ask one more question?
Where you're missing a step is that it does not have personhood when it's terminated before the personhood obtains. That's where you're missing out.
Okay, so what you're saying, okay, well, I'm not missing out. You just didn't articulate. So is what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, again, I'm not trying to straw man you, is what you're saying that you have to have it in the future, but you also previously had to have it in the past?
But I don't know what you're asking me.
Okay, this is what I'm breaking it down to, Mason. You said that when we should grant people the moral consideration for life, they are a person if they have consciousness now or sentience now or in the future. So then when I'm bringing up, okay, so then Mason, does a zygote,
I'm not saying
does an
that people
embryo,
in the future
Mason, you're
have
not letting,
personhood.
every time I bring this up, you won't let me finish, bro. So when saying, does a zygote have sentience in the future? Will they get sentience in the future? They will right?
have personhood once the personhood obtains. Until then, all I'm saying is that I extend moral consideration to future
Are you fucking
generations.
with me? Are you fucking with me? Like, at this point, I have to assume that you're fucking with me, you're satire, or you are just I don't know.
No, I think you have a motivated reasoning to not understand what I'm saying. A person does not become a person and does not have personhood until the personhood obtains. And we've talked about what the criteria is for that, or at least what my criteria is for that. But all I'm saying is until then, we have to extend moral consideration to future generations, which is why we should do things like take care of the planet. Moral consideration is not the same thing as saying it has personhood. I extend moral consideration to all forms of life, as we established in the beginning of this conversation. Just because I extend moral consideration to something does not mean it has personhood.
Okay, so for one, you're lying. You don't extend moral consideration to all forms of life. If you extended moral consideration to all forms of life, this wouldn't be a fucking debate, Mason. You would just say that I extend moral consideration to a zygote because that is a form of life. So that's the first thing. So one, you don't. Second thing, I'm getting refresh issues on your. Hold on, are you still there? Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. So the second thing is that, Mason, you said what makes a person I can't. At this point, I'm going to be beating a dead horse if I say this after this time. So what you said, what makes a person deserving for the moral consideration of life, and please let me finish before you interrupt, is that they have sentience now or in the future. So then I said, okay. So does a zygote have sentience, or will a zygote have sentience in the future? You said yes, or at least
that's not true 100%
that meets your
of the time.
That meets your
one
criteria.
Counterfactual invalidates the entire point. Zygotes are terminated by miscarriages all the time. So does that not invalidate what you just said?
No, that means that human persons are dead or dying. Yes, that doesn't invalidate anything. That what I'm saying. And you're also pivoting from what I'm asking. It's not a human
person because it doesn't meet the criteria for personhood.
Mason, your criteria for personhood just means that you have to have sentience now or in the future. Right? So that's it. That's your criteria. So a zygote will have sentience in the future. It meets your criteria for personhood, Mason.
No, it doesn't. It has to be currently existing with sentience, the capacity for reasoning, morality. Again,
okay. So now you're saying the current capacity, not the prospective capacity.
Huh?
Okay, so then now you're arguing for the current capacity, not prospective. You're saying
then I guess I just misunderstood the distinction between these two things. All I'm saying is that future generations deserve moral consideration. Just because they deserve moral consideration does not make them a person. Do you get that?
I get everything that you're saying. I don't think that you get what you're saying.
I disagree. Okay. I would say
so Mason, are you now saying that in order to be considered a person, which is sentience is what is your qualifier. So in order to be what makes a person deserving of life is sentience, you're saying that they have to currently be experiencing sentience.
Yes, to have personhood, they have to meet the criteria for personhood. Yeah. That's different than moral consideration.
Mason, that's just circular reasoning. I'm asking you to explain why.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So hold on.
I understand.
You're not answering my
that doesn't mean I'm using circular reasoning.
Mason, you're not answering my question. I just want to know, is a yes or no so I can know what to say to you. So are you saying that what makes a person deserving of moral consideration for life means that they currently
meet the criteria for personhood? I've said that like many times now.
Okay, so they personally have to be sentient. That's your criteria, right?
Yeah, they presently have to meet the criteria for personhood, which they do not.
So somebody under like general anesthesia is not sentient. So
this is exactly what
Are they not persons considering for the moral consideration for life?
they're under a see, this is where I said there's multiple criteria for what personhood is, and you, like I said, you want to make this conversation as reductive as possible. You're acting as if the only criteria that I gave for personhood was sentience, and I said there are multiple, and you want to reduce this to being one criteria. You want to make the conversation as reductive as possible because it's advantageous to you.
Can you just answer my question?
Yeah, I did just answer your question with what I just said.
No, that's not the question that doesn't answer the question I asked you. I asked you that because someone under general anesthesia does not have sentience, are they no longer should we no longer grant them moral consideration for life?
No, because there are other criteria that are being met that
I asked you that already, Mason. I asked you to give me a fucking list of this criteria, and then you settled on only sentience. So what's the list? I'll ask you again.
Wait, so your question is because they're going under general anesthesia, under my definition of personhood, they wouldn't be considered persons. So you could extend that to also thinking while someone is asleep and dreaming, they're not persons, according to you, under my worldview.
No, that's not the same. Oh my God. No, Mason, you don't even know what sentience means, because someone who is asleep and dreaming is experiencing sentience. Do you even know, do you know what sentience means? So sentience is really defined by like subjective experience, right? Which is defined as
conscious experience, your awareness of self. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So your sensory like experiences to the environment, feelings, thoughts, you have those things when you are fucking dreaming. So you would still be sentient.
Whoa. I said dreaming and sleeping. Most of the time that you're sleeping, you're not experiencing
even when you're sleeping.
Dreams. You're not experiencing any conscious awareness of anything.
That's not even true.
Of the time
that's not even
you're
true.
Sleeping.
That's not even true. That's not even true. So when you are sleeping, so hold on. You're saying that when you're sleeping that your mind, the only way that you could get there is you would have to be under general anesthesia, right? When you, if you weren't thinking, if your brain wasn't working, you wouldn't even be able to fucking breathe, Mason. That's why under general anesthesia, people can't breathe.
You do not have conscious experience of things the majority of the time that you're sleeping. It's only during certain stages of sleep that you.
Okay, fine. Fuck it. Okay, fine. Then yeah, that's your moral framework. Then if you are thinking that you're not sentient when you are dreaming, then fine. I don't even give a shit.
What I'm saying is,
so okay,
yeah. So okay. Before that, like I said, you want to make this conversation as reductive as possible because it makes it easy for you.
This is logical. This is your own. Oh my God, bro. This is your own fucking argument. This is
my understanding of your mischaracterization of my positions. I did not say that. I said there are multiple criteria for personhood, sentience being one of them, my guy. I said
Mason, I asked you multiple times. I actually asked you to give me a fucking list of what is the criteria.
I've given you that
you couldn't
list
give
so
me
many
the
times
list
over the course of this debate. I've given it to you.
Mason. The list. Okay, hold on. If you were talking about reason and all those other things, I already explained that to you, Mason. I already explained that to you that you can't have reason, you can't have those other things without sentience, right? So it would be deduced to sentience.
Just because you're in a temporary state of whether it's anesthesia or sleep or anything does not mean you don't have the capacity for those things. A fetus, whether it's sleeping,
what that means.
Or if you put a fetus under anesthesia, does not have the capacity for reason and sentience, whether it's awake or whether it's in any of those states. It does not have the capacity for those things, period. Just because someone is going through in a 24-hour cycle, if in 6 of those hours they're under general anesthesia, does not mean you would not say, oh, in this 24-hour period, they were under anesthesia for 6 of those 24 hours, and therefore they're not a person. Like that's not what I'm saying.
That's your framework, Mason.
No, that's
because
what I'm
you
saying
said if you
you're mischaracterizing my framework. That's what I'm saying.
Not a mischaracterization.
Make this as reductive as possible because that makes it really easy for you.
Mason, this is your argument.
No, it's not. Argument. This is what I'm saying. These are the problems with how you're characterizing my argument. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Mason. Do you or do you not hold the stance that if you are not experiencing sentience, you are no longer a person?
No. Like what I'm not saying, what I'm not decidedly not saying is that just because someone is under a temporary state of anesthesia or unconsciousness does not make them not a person. Do you get that?
So temporary meaning that they would have sentience in the future then, right?
Yeah. Well, in the future.
Okay, so then a zygote. So hold on. By your own logic, a zygote, an embryo, a zygote or an embryo.
In a week, it's not going to have sentience.
Every time that you get fucking dumped on, you have to interrupt me.
You're not dumping on anything, my dude. You're trying to. You're being reductive, trying to make this as simplistic and stupefied as possible.
I'm gonna let you finish everything so that I can wait to talk.
You're trying to make this as reductive as possible, and you're trying, like, just because I said, yes, in the future, when the person wakes up, they'll have sentience once again, but then you go, dumped on, just like a fetus. No, not just like a fetus, because a fetus will not have sentience and will not reach the criteria for personhood until many months later and down the road.
Okay, so now you're saying that it's the length of time that matters.
No, this is actually not at all what my pro-choice, pro-abortion argument is predicated on. We still have not gotten there.
You just said that time is the factor.
1 hour and 12
you just said time is the factor.
Huh?
You just said that time is the factor. You were saying because it's less of a time that a fetus is going to take or whatever, then that means that somehow now it's less deserving, more consideration. So you were saying that
you're
time
trying to reduce this down to one simple thing. You're trying to reduce it to sentience. You're trying to reduce it to the amount of time. You're trying to make this as reductive as possible. And I get that because it's easy red meat for your audience. You need to make the
easy red
reductive.
Meat. Huh? You are easy red meat. You are getting eaten, my guy. Dude, you are fucking prey.
On your entire Instagram page, you don't even have a single debate posted. All you do is post like 60-second clips of like one quick gotcha, and then you don't even let the person respond. And then the audience in your comments just goes, look at that 30-second comment that you made in which the person didn't even respond. You don't even post full debates.
So that's not even true. I have multiple full debates on there, but I'm not even going to get into that.
All right.
So Mason, so you're saying that because this is what you said.
Actually, my argument is more than just when it comes to pro-abortion and pro-choice and why we should do it, it's actually way more than just like, how long does the person have consciousness? What is a person? Well, I have all my pro-abortion, pro-choice arguments lined up. We haven't even touched on one of them yet. Not a single one.
Because we don't need to go into it because you've already been
to your positions.
We don't even need to get into it because you've already been debunked. You've even conceded multiple times. But
we haven't debunked anything. We haven't debunked anything. I haven't even made my arguments. So far, all I've done is respond to your arguments. I haven't even made a single argument.
Jason, when am I going to be able to talk for like 30 seconds uninterrupted?
You've done that plenty, but go ahead.
Are you gonna interrupt me in these 30 seconds, or can I fucking talk?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So Mason, you just gave me the argument that the reason why it's different between a fetus or an embryo or whatever stage of life, the reason why that's different for them not having sentience versus somebody who was under general anesthesia was the length of time. That is the argument that you gave. That's the objection that you gave. So now I'm asking you, do you stand by that? Is it the length of time that that determines if you should get the moral consideration for life or not? I'm done.
Okay. No, there's way more than that. There's way more than that. Again, you just want to make this as reductive as possible because you want a quick gotcha.
Jason,
as I'm trying to have a comprehensive debate on the real world side effects of having access to abortion, you are wanting to make this as narrow and simplistic and reductive as possible because that makes it easy for you. And I'm beginning to think that's the only way in which you can operate cognitively. I have way more to say and way more to talk about. We're an hour and 12 into this. I haven't even gotten to any of that. What was that?
I'm gonna break this down. I'm like typing it out right now. So if you want to continue, but it's gonna take.
So I have multiple arguments for abortion, and I'll get to them now. We can go through them. I'll list them out, and
hold on, real quick,
you can address them one by one. And
Mason, before you get into that, I'm still going to bring this last thing up before you. So I wouldn't give me a new argument yet, just because I'm going to bring it back to this. I thought that if you wanted to expand on what you already were saying.
No, see, what I was saying was only a response to what you were saying, and what you were saying was this logic path in which you were trying to narrow things down and make it as simple as possible, and that's not what I'm trying to do. My argument that is for abortion is actually predicated on the societal benefits of access to abortion, contraceptives, birth control, and again, we haven't got to any of that. I've only been responding to what you have been saying so far.
Okay, so that's fine. So just to sum everything up, your argument is what makes a person deserving for the moral consideration of life was sentience. And then you said originally
no, I gave
you said it was
no. I gave more.
Oh
I
gave
more criteria than that. Again, I gave more criteria than that. And my argument that's for abortion is rests on more things than just that one thing. You see, you want to make this about one narrow thing, and I'm not. So you go ahead and finish and say what you want to say. I'm going to get to my pro-choice, pro-abortion arguments here shortly.
Mason, are you so intellectually intimidated that you cannot give me time?
You're hilarious,
yes,
dude.
I've gone
toe to toe with PhDs.
You're doing it again. You're doing it again. You're interrupting me again.
Guy? Who are you?
You're interrupting me again.
I have a degree. What do you have a degree? Have you ever been to uni at all? Anything?
Obviously, that degree ain't help you. So okay. So I'm gonna wait for you to be finished. I'm gonna wait for you to be finished.
Intimidated. That's great posturing. I like that. That's gonna be a good clip for your channel.
Are you done?
Or
am I going to be able to get or am I going to go 6 seconds and then you're going to interrupt again?
I know you're really mad about that. You just got 30 seconds. You've been talking the majority of this debate. I timed you on the last one. You got more than 30 seconds, but you seem to be really mad and fixated on the.
Okay, so what's the time? What's the amount of time?
You've talked a majority of the time. So
then what's the amount of time I can talk without being interrupted?
Go for it. You have
just so I can know.
You've got.
I'm asking you a question. How much time? How much time do I get?
You can talk for a minute or more. I don't care.
Okay, cool. So your argument was that sentience is what makes a person a person. You said some other things like reason and all these other things, but then you agreed with me that you can't have those things without sentience. So we deduced it to sentience. That was you. You agreed on it. If you don't like it, I don't give a shit. You should hate yourself for that then. So your argument was sentience is what makes a person a person. I said, okay.
Nope.
So are you arguing for the current capacity of sentience or the perspective? You said the perspective because it is of now or in the future. And then you realize, okay, that a zygote in the future will have sentience. So then you modified your argument and said, okay, well, you know what? No, you have to currently have the capacity for consciousness, which is fine. I can operate under that framework too. So then I asked you, if someone is under general anesthesia, they do not have sentience. So by your moral framework, are they no longer considered a person deserving of life? You said, no, that's not the same because a zygote doesn't have sentience, but it's going to be much longer until they achieve sentience versus someone who is under general anesthesia. So that is what you said.
Okay, so you've had 60 seconds. I already responded adequately. I already responded adequately to all of those things. You have mischaracterized my position because it makes it nice and easy for you to reduce my positions to absurdity. It's known as reductio ad absurdum. That's what you've done here. I responded adequately to everything that you just said there. You mischaracterize all my positions. The audience can feel how they want about your reductio ad absurdum. They can feel how they want about my responses to that reductio ad absurdum. But now I would actually like to get to my positions. I have 5 central points on why we should have why women or people should have access to abortion. Ben, and you can respond to all of these or none of these. You can do a la carte, whatever you want to do,
I'm sure I'm not going to give a shit about any of them, but you can go ahead and
yeah, you don't give a shit about it because you want to stay on the hypothetical, on the appeals to morality, on the appeals to emotion. That's fine. You're allowed to do that. Banning abortion doesn't actually stop abortion. So if you ban abortion and you make it illegal, abortions still happen. And as a consequence, that will make the abortions that do occur unsafe. 30 to 68,000 women die every year from illegal back alley abortions, with countless injured. The risk of death associated with childbirth is approximately 14 times higher than that with abortion. So banning legal abortions will lead to a spike in illegal abortions, which will lead to a loss of life for women. How's that for pro-life, my guy? Access to birth control is also a key element of societal and economic development. There has been an overwhelming amount of sociological data that has come out since Roe v. Wade, since abortion was normalized in society, that has demonstrated that access to birth control, which includes abortion, is a cornerstone in societal and economic development. Access to birth control increases children's college completion, labor force participation, wages, and family incomes. If we were to full stop ban abortion, it would actually degrow the economy, because women would now no longer have control over their uteri, their ability to have children, and it would dramatically impact the labor force and the prospects of the children coming from those women. What you want and what you would implement into society is actually terrible for the economy. And lastly, childbirth is extremely expensive in this country. Childbirth costs on average, I think it's $8,000 or $5,000 to $30,000 in the United States per child, and you're wanting to force that cost on struggling American families. So those are the 5 arguments. Again, you cannot respond to any of them because I know you don't care about the real world consequences of your society. Basically, what you want is like the Handmaid's Tale, right? Is that it?
Okay, so when can I respond to your
Go ahead.
points? Okay. I heard the first 2. You might have to repeat the last 3, but
Sure.
I'll attack these first 2. So the first thing that I heard is that you said that banning abortions don't stop abortions.
Right.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go with that. I'm not even gonna challenge that. I could, but I'm not even going to.
You could, but it would be a fool's gamut because it's just empirically
here we
true.
Go. So banning abortions doesn't stop abortions. Let's use your logic for a second. Okay. So banning murder doesn't stop murderers from murdering or rapists from raping. Should those things be legal?
No, those things shouldn't be legal.
Why?
Because the legalization of those things would have disastrous societal consequences, and that's the focus of what I'm trying to talk about is societal consequences. So what are the societal consequences in the negative of banning abortion? Actually, there's really only benefits, right?
Mason, let's say that if we made, like, let's say rape, if we made rape legal, that the total amount of rapes would go down and there would be other societal benefits. You can come up with it, whatever you want. Would you say that then we should make rape legal?
There's absolutely no evidence to support that. I'm not going to indulge the hypothetical.
I'm giving you a hypothetical.
There would be an increase in rape.
Mason, I'm giving you I'm trying to test your logical consistency. It's very easy. So if we made rape legal definitively, if I could show you that by making rape legal, all rapes would, or not all rapes, but rape itself would go down, whatever percentage you wanted to say, and that there would be some other type of benefit, whatever you would come up with.
I get what you're asking.
Should we make it legal?
Yeah, I get what you're asking. So in a hypothetical, if you legalized rape and it could be demonstrated empirically and overwhelmingly demonstrated that rape would actually go down, then no, I agree. Then rape should be legalized. If it would minimize the harm to women and minimize the harm to society, but that's not what would happen. We're talking about reality. What would actually happen is rape would go up.
That is fucking crazy. So
really?
Okay,
really?
Okay. So if you
because before rape was before rape was made illegal, officially and codified in law, there was a lot more rape than there is now.
Mason.
What are you talking about?
If you want to go ahead and bite that bullet and say that rape should be legal, if we can prove that rapes would go down if we made rape legal, then you can go ahead and bite that bullet.
Hypothetical, but in reality, because we know through empiricism, that's not what would happen.
You can bite that bullet. You can go ahead and bite that bullet. That's fine.
Wait. Are you pro more women being raped? Am I getting that right? I mean, you do have that. You do have that recent Instagram post saying that you're against abortion even in the case of sexual assault. So we might be onto something here. Do you want rape to go up in the country?
No. So hold on. So let me answer your question. So even if rape goes up, if rape is made illegal, right? Some things are deontologically wrong. Do you know what I mean when I'm coming from like a stance of
Yeah,
like
I minored in
deontological?
philosophy. I know the difference between
Okay, so
teleology and
some things it doesn't matter, even if you could say for quote unquote the betterment of society or the greater good, or there'd be less of it happening or whatever it is. It doesn't matter because some things are just unequivocally wrong and they should not be made legal.
See,
right?
I don't stick to a. I don't stick to it.
I'm almost done.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm almost done. So my point is that when you have crimes like rape or like murder, they are deontologically wrong. They should never be made legal, even if we could prove that by making them legal,
I don't agree.
Somehow
I don't agree. If you can reduce the harms to society, then you should absolutely do it.
I just say that you're fucking immoral. So like, there's nothing more I can say on that.
I would
our
say
morality
you're
is just
by wanting to increase the rapes in society.
Okay, so I never said that I wanted to increase the rape. So you're straw manning me.
I'm not
Second,
straw manning.
I said
we're talking about a hypothetical in which your scenario, in which this hypothetical, which again is the inverse of reality, because in reality, if rape were legalized, we would see more of it. But indulging your hypothetical, in which we could demonstrate that rape would go down if we legalized it, then you are the immoral one, because your worldview and your bullshit deontology, your categorical imperative would mean that more women would be raped, and that's immoral. That's really easy to understand.
Okay, so let me pose you another thought experiment, since you're holding on to your ethical standpoint. So let's say that I'm
still waiting for you to tell me how banning abortion doesn't stop abortion. I mean, we're talking about reality. I understand.
I don't care. No, what I'm saying is, I already told you I don't care.
But how does banning abortion stop abortion?
I already told you that I don't care about that. Right?
Okay.
I don't care if banning it would I mean, it would be nice if by we could prove that by banning abortion that it would. And there are studies that show that. I mean, we could go back into like Roe v. Wade and we can look at.
Okay, so you can see the point. We can move on to the next thing. So you
I
can
don't
see that banning abortion doesn't stop abortion. We can move to the next.
You're interrupting me when I'm answering your question.
You just said you don't care about it. You can see the point. Let's move on to the next one.
Not the same as conceding the point. You don't know what concession is, right? So that's. My God.
Saying you don't care is a concession.
It's not a concession based. Oh my God. Okay. Sure. Okay, fine. Mason, whatever you want, buddy. Yeah. So, okay.
So we've established that banning abortion doesn't stop abortion, so abortions will still happen. So can we
didn't establish that. I said that it doesn't matter to my argument.
We're talking about my arguments because I'm pro-abortion and you're anti-abortion. So,
but you're arguing against me. I don't give a shit, right? So if
that's exactly
you,
what
like
I'm
I
here
told
to
you,
do is argue against
like I told
you.
you,
That's
like I told you, even if you could prove that by banning abortions that let's say that more abortions happen, right? By banning, which it doesn't even make logical sense, but okay, so by banning abortions, that more abortions overall would happen, which it doesn't happen, right? So, but even if you could prove that, I would still say deontologically it is wrong. Killing innocent persons is wrong, particularly when you force them into a state of physical dependency. The same way with rape. If you could show me, or if I could show you that by banning rapes that or I'm sorry, rape is already banned, but like by unbanning rape, by making rape legal, that all rape would go down, like whatever amount you want to say, I would still say that's deontologically wrong. It doesn't matter. We need to address something else, like to prevent rape from happening, right? And to attack rape, not saying, you know what, it should be fucking legal, right? So yeah, it's just deontologically wrong. So that being said, because that is your moral framework, you don't come from a deontological standpoint. So let me ask you this. Let's say that if I could show you data that if we raped, let's say 5 people, that by raping these 5 people, it would save 100 women from being raped. Would you say that we should rape? It's moral, or not even moral, but we have like an obligation to rape these 5 women?
Can you say that again? Sorry,
yes.
I tuned out for a second there. You were talking for a while.
I come from the deontological standpoint that murdering innocent persons is wrong, that raping is wrong, right? You don't come from that.
I don't come from that. If you could demonstrate that murdering someone would result in what, like, would you not go back in time and murder Hitler and save tens of millions of lives?
I will be happy to answer your question if you answer mine, because I posed it to you first, please. So I'm asking you, If I could show you that by raping 5 women, if we raped 5 women, that it would prevent 100 other women from being raped, should we rape those 5 women? Do we have like an obligation to rape those 5 women?
If it would reduce rape in society?
It would save 100 women from being raped if we raped 5 women.
Sure, why not? But it's an absurd hypothetical because it's not grounded in reality at all.
This shit is so crazy, bro. This shit is so crazy. Yeah,
wait,
bro.
You would rather have the 100 women raped? Am I getting that
No,
right?
Mason, I would no. You are making the decision to rape other people. Five innocent people.
The rape of 100 people. Do you not get the mathematics there? This is really easy.
This is insane.
Let the 5 go unraped, so 100 more are raped. Do you know how fucking insane that is?
Mason, there's a difference, Mason. You're talking about actually taking action. You're saying, no, we have a moral imperative.
No, but in your hypothetical, you're saying that 100 are going to be raped. It is going to happen.
Okay, so yeah,
that's
so it's going to happen.
Not maybe they will, maybe they won't. In your hypothetical, if you don't rape the 5, then 100 will be raped. And you're characterizing me as immoral because I want to save 100 women from being raped at the expense of 5? That's fucking insane.
I'd argue that you probably just want to rape women. That's what I would.
Not at all. This is your hypothetical, my dude. This is absurd. And I've already said this is an absurd hypothetical. None of your hypotheticals are even remotely grounded in reality. It's an extreme hypothetical.
But Mason, it's an extreme hypothetical to test your logical consistency. I want to be clear. You are being logically consistent. I just find it to be grossly immoral.
I think it's grossly immoral that you would want 100 women to be raped. Isn't that disgusting? That's that's gross.
Again, that is a straw man.
It's not a straw man. It's your hypothetical, my dude.
You don't know what straw man means. You don't know what straw man means. If you are telling me that I said that I want them to be raped, that is not what I said, nor what I believe. I didn't say I want them to be raped. What I am saying is that you cannot then just rape 5 women, even if it is going to save 100 others, because now you are taking action.
Wait, do you think I mean, I know you're a right winger, so you engage deeply in hierarchical thinking. So you think the 5 women have more moral worth than the other 100?
It has nothing to do with worth.
Yeah, it does. Deontologically, you seem to think that the 5 are worth more than the 100.
I never said that. I'm saying that it is deontologically wrong to rape women. We should not rape women.
And I engage in deontological and teleological thinking. So you asked me if I understand deontology. Do you understand teleology? Do you understand utilitarianism?
Sure, I understand utilitarianism.
Oh, great. So you think it would be useful to society if 100 women were raped instead of 5?
I think that if we have to do something evil to do that, then it's just evil.
Oh, so do you think? Okay, so also conversely, or analogous to that, do you think it would be evil to go back in time and murder baby Hitler to stop tens of millions of people being killed?
That's 100,000% evil. Yes.
Oh my God.
That is 100,000% evil. Murder.
I don't think most of society agrees with you, my dude. Okay,
I don't give a shit.
So hold on. So now you're appealing. Stop abortion.
You're appealing to. So hold on. So now you're appealing to majority. I don't give a fuck what most of society wants. If you kill an innocent baby, if they have not done anything, and you are saying that you are going to kill an innocent baby, then that is fucking evil.
But we're saying a situation. If they're not innocent,
let me finish, bro.
They're going to go on to kill tens of millions of people.
Let me finish. Because if you're, that's just wrong, right?
Oh my
because
God,
you
dude.
could teach.
Everyone answers yes on the baby Hitler question. This is fucking insane.
I don't give a fuck what they say. I don't appeal to what other people say that I should do.
You did in the case of the biologist.
I'm not like you.
You did with the biologist in the University of Chicago paper.
That has nothing to do with what people should or shouldn't do. They're just saying that life begins at conception. That's not an action. So here we go.
Other people say.
I know
it's not really an argument. All I'm saying is like this is fucking crazy. You wouldn't kill baby Hitler.
I'm gonna wait for you to finish because you are clearly so intellectually intimidated. You cannot let me finish. Tell me when you are done. Tell me when you're done.
You conceded on banning abortion doesn't stop abortion. You conceded on that banning abortion being unsafe, resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands of women. You're for that as well, correct?
Let me know when you're done so I can answer your other question.
Oh, I thought you conceded already. Go ahead.
Are you sure? I feel like I'm going to make it like 5 seconds and then you're going to interrupt again.
No, go for it.
Okay. So if you kill an innocent child, that's evil. It's really that plain. Now, if you kill someone due to them doing something, sure, I wouldn't say that that's evil. If they killed millions of people, then that is not wrong. But if you kill an innocent person, they haven't actually done anything yet, that is evil. That being said, I think that many people probably would justify killing baby Hitler.
But you already
that
know
doesn't
the outcome
mean,
of that person's
hold on,
life.
I'm not finished.
You already
That
know
does
the
not
outcome.
mean, oh my God, that does not mean that it is not evil to kill an innocent baby, right? Doesn't mean that that's not evil. It just means that you are just
tens of millions of lives be
Mason,
exterminated.
Mason, can you please shut the fuck up for like a couple seconds so that I can talk, bro? Please. I'm begging you. So that does not mean that you that it is not evil. It just means that you are justifying that evil act because you believe for whatever greater
because
good.
it's about the outcomes as well. It's about the outcomes. What happens as a result of that life?
All right, so I'm going to go on to your next thing. You said that banning abortions don't. No, you already said that. You said that it increases back alley abortions when we make abortions.
Yeah, and as a result,
right?
tens of thousands of women would die, and that's not very pro-life of you.
You don't know what's the definition of pro-life, Mason?
You tell me.
Definition of pro-life is opposing abortion and euthanasia.
Yeah, so you're anti-abortion. Like I said, you're not pro-life. You're anti-abortion.
So hold on. So you're just saying that so what you're saying is that you're just crying over the definition of pro-life. You just don't like it.
Oh, no, I said at the beginning of this that I don't. I said at the very opening of this debate that I do not agree. I do not agree with the title of your position being pro-life. But that's
I don't give a shit if you agree with the title.
That's not the point.
You're disagreeing. You're disagreeing with the definition.
Results in the loss of life of tens of thousands of women. So that's not pro-life of you using your definition of pro-life, right? Or
That's not my definition. That is the definition.
Not using your definition, because as you already conceded, being pro-life doesn't actually mean being pro-life. It just means being opposed to abortion, as you agreed to.
That is definitionally correct. Yes.
Okay.
Being pro-life means that you oppose abortion and euthanasia.
Okay.
So you can cry about the definition all you want.
Can we get into a little bit of etymology here? You understand what life is, right? Should we go over the Wikipedia definition of life?
Mason, stop trying to pivot to all these different things when we're talking right now about back alley abortions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you said that it increases back alley abortions if you make abortion illegal, right? I'm asking. That's a question I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do I give a shit?
Why do you give a shit? Because you're pro-life.
Or let me rephrase. Why should I give a shit?
Because as you say by your own title, you're pro-life.
Yes, I oppose abortion. What does that have to do with anything? If a woman is already going to get an abortion, I can't stop her, and she goes ahead and gets a back alley abortion.
So you're conceding you don't give a shit about tens of thousands of women losing their lives. All right, next thing. So what do you think about forcing the expense of childbirth on a working people?
Let me respond. So what do I believe that abortion is?
The termination of a pregnancy.
So what do I believe that it is? It's a killing of an innocent person, right? That's what I believe, right?
Sure. From my perspective, it's the termination of a pregnancy, but yeah.
Okay, so that's the killing of an innocent person. So why would I want to legalize something and make it easier for a woman to kill her innocent child? Why would I do that? I think that by having it more dangerous for women to kill their unborn children, I'm fine with that being an extra
so
deterrent.
The child dies and the woman dies. That's not very pro-life of you, my dude.
Mason, are you fucking dumb?
Are you?
The child is going to die no matter what. You're saying that a woman is going to get an abortion. I can't stop her from getting an abortion.
Yeah,
so
and now
if she is going to, if she is
on top of the baby dying,
if she is going to get an abortion, if she's going to get an abortion, then I think it should absolutely be fucking dangerous for her to get an abortion, so that it makes it less easy for her to kill her innocent child.
We go back to the logical inconsistencies of your title, pro-life.
Oh,
do you know what
my
life
God.
is? What is life? Can you define life for me, Tyler?
Mason, I don't give a
life for
shit
me.
that you don't, Mason. I don't give a shit that you don't like the definition of pro-life.
No,
if
I'm
you want
saying
to argue
it
the
literally
definition,
does not mean it does not
God.
meet
Oh my God.
the definitions of the words being used. It's a fucking
I don't give a shit.
facade.
Okay,
It's a
Mason.
lie. It's a lie.
Okay, let's
You're
go with
not
that.
pro-life.
Mason.
You're anti-abortion. You're pro-forcing
Mason.
women to carry pregnancies to term. That is not the same thing as being pro-life. What is the definition of life, and what does it mean to be pro-life? By the definitions of those words, not your made-up fantasy definition, the actual definitions of those words. What do they mean? Tell me.
Mason, so one thing. Can you read off the definition of pro-life by any dictionary definition that you want to come up with?
What I can tell you is what it means to what life is, and
I don't give a fuck what it means to you. Tell me what the definition is.
Life. That's not what you are. Your
definition
is a made-up fantasy.
Okay, so let's work at this. Okay, I'm gonna work with your logic, because you're saying, well, no, those words don't add up. Okay, so you know what? I don't like the definition of hamburger. I mean, there's no fucking ham in the burger. It's fucking misleading.
Whether or not you like
fucking misleading.
We're talking about what the actual definition is.
Bro, so hold on. It's your same logic. You don't like that they put pro and life together. You said, well, I think that that's a misrepresentation. I don't give a fuck. You can go ahead and argue with Merriam-Webster, with Oxford, with Cambridge, with Collins. You can go ahead and argue with all those motherfuckers of why they made that definition that definition.
I don't think, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong on this, I really don't care, but I don't think Merriam-Webster or Oxford has a entry in the dictionary for pro-life that means what you think it means. I know what it means to be pro something, which is an argument in favor of a proposal, an argument, a statement, a fact, or assertion offered as evidence that something is true. Read the definition of pro-life. I know what life is, which is something that is... I know what life is, so I know what it means to be pro-life, and what it means to be pro-life is to be for the well-being of living things. That's not what you're for, as you just conceded. You don't care if women lose their lives in getting back alley abortions. You conceded on that as well. So you don't care that abortion doesn't stop abortion. You don't care that abortion is unsafe. So let's go to the third one. You conceded on those two. It's all right.
Jason, read the definition, please. Read the definition of pro-life.
You got to do the talking, and you got to make the arguments in the first half. So we're going to my arguments now.
So you don't want to do it? You don't want to read the definition of pro-life by any textbook definition? You don't
Send
me
your definition. Drop it in the Discord.
Oh no, I'm putting this ball in your court.
I just did, dude. I just did. I just pieced it together.
Anything.
I just told you what it means to be pro something. I just told you what it means to be pro something.
Okay,
and I told you what life means.
So you're saying, oh, I just pieced it together myself. I don't need to look up the actual definition of that.
Do you not know what etymology is?
By your logic. Okay, so hold on.
Etymology is?
Bro, why doesn't hamburger have ham in it?
Tell me.
I'm asking you. This is I'm working under your logic. Hamburger does not have ham.
The Germans that created hamburgers decided to call them hamburgers. Who cares?
Okay, so then who cares? Okay, so then when you're talking about pro-life, so when you're talking, you're special pleading. You are special pleading.
I've got an answer for you. I've got a good answer for you.
You are special pleading. I've got a good answer
for you. I just remembered where the definition of a hamburger comes from, because it comes from fucking Hamburg, Germany, and that's why it's called a hamburger. That's not etymology. It came from Hamburg, Germany, and they're called hamburgers. There's your fucking answer. So, can you tell me what etymology is, and can you tell me what pro means and what life means? And
okay, so hold on. Okay, I'm gonna respond. So I will give you that. I've dunked on you so much in this debate that I'm going to go ahead and give you that I was not aware that ham, if what you're saying is true, because I'm not looking up what you were saying. People in the chat or people in the comments after can go ahead and verify if this is true or not. I am not, I'm taking you on good faith that what you were saying is accurate.
That's
so
accurate.
If what you are saying,
accurate.
if what you're saying is accurate, the reason why it's called a hamburger is because it comes from someplace called a hamburger, whatever, then that is fine. I will go ahead and bite that or take that L and say, okay, I didn't know that perspective, but it still doesn't defeat my argument or my contention with your not even your argument. You're just pissed off that the word pro-life, which you have refused numerous times when I've asked you numerous times to read it, you are just pissed off.
No, I'm saying your fantasy definition does not meet the etymological criteria.
The word pro-life, you are just pissed off that the word pro-life doesn't mean what you want it to mean.
No, I'm saying that like we talked about earlier, the definitions of things are socially constructed. I understand that there is a radical and unhinged group of people that characterize their positions as being pro-life. I'm pushing back on that and saying literally, like, what if I how about this? Here we go with the hypotheticals and the analogies again, which is what I did not want to do. But how about I'm a vegan, right? And I'm for not killing. I'm for not killing animals, and I say my position is pro Jigglypuff. You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Pro Jigglypuff has nothing to do with being against animal killing. That's what I am saying to you. Your position does not meet the definitions of those words. It's fucking illogical. It's nonsensical. That's what I'm telling you.
Yes. So what you're saying, you just restated what I already told you. You are just crying that you don't like the definition of the word pro-life.
Okay, so do you want to get to the third argument? You conceded on the first two. Banning abortion doesn't stop abortion. Banning abortion is unsafe. You said you don't care. So on the third one, childbirth is expensive. It costs $5,000 to $30,000 per child, and you want to force that expense on people. So how do you respond to that?
So hold on. So hold on. We're not getting to that yet. So I will be happy to move on to that if you read the definition of pro-life. I don't want you to make up your own definition. Jason, I want you to read the definition of pro-life and tell me where it comes from. What's the source?
Let's see. We've got a definition from the prolifeaction.org.
No, I would say something that's more like non-biased. I think that would be more biased.
It's the first result. It's prolifeaction.org. The second is frc.org.
No, any textbook definition. I don't know why this is so fucking complicated for you to.
I don't know what frc.org is. Family Research Council, super authoritative. Dude, I already conceded that I understand that, and I know left or rightoids mauled over this all the time, that language and words are socially constructed. I've already said that that your definition is socially constructed. I understand that there is a radical contingent of people that characterize themselves as being pro-life. But if I told you that I was against animals being killed, and I said that position is pro Jigglypuff, it wouldn't make any fucking sense, my guy. It doesn't meet the criteria of those words.
All I needed to hear is that you conceded.
What if I got millions of people? What if I got millions of people to also call their veganism pro Jigglypuff? Then it becomes real, right? But then I would say in that conversation, oh, you're pro Jigglypuff. That doesn't make any sense to what the actual position is, which is being against the killing of animals. That's the argument that I'm making here.
I know what you're saying. You don't like the definition. I don't care. So let's move on to the next thing. What was your next point?
Yeah, childbirth is expensive. Childbirth is expensive, and it costs $5,000 to $30,000 on average in the United States. And you want to force that cost on working families.
I want to force the cost of
childbirth on families.
Childbirth on women who consciously and voluntarily engage in sexual activity. Yeah,
sure.
Okay, I wouldn't argue that that's not expensive, but it's not something that they have to pay immediately.
That's not expensive. $5,000 to $30,000 when recent studies have found that most Americans don't have $400 for an emergency expense.
I said the opposite of that. I said the opposite, and now you're conflating as if they're going to take it from your bank account that day that you need to be able to have that. So again, what I just said is that I'm not arguing.
That's how it works. I never said that. I'm just saying what the cost is. I never said you have to have $30,000 in your bank account to have a child.
Finish. This is why nobody wants to debate you, because you won't shut the fuck up.
Keep posturing. So can you answer the question?
So what I said was the opposite of the conclusion you just came to. I said that I am not arguing that it is not expensive. I think that is very expensive, right? I think that it's fine that we can come up with some type of solution, some type of ways to make it cheaper and in whatever regard we need to do that. But ultimately, just to be fucking clear, if you consciously and voluntarily engage in sexual activity, which is 99.8% of
except in the case of rape, then you want to force them to have the child, and you want to force them to bear that expense of the child, right?
Well, you still have an obligation to your child, yeah.
Okay, cool. So go ahead.
Do you disagree? Do you think that parents don't have an obligation to their children?
I think a woman should have the right and the choice to abort the fetus that was implanted in her by a rapist.
We don't even have to go back into that because you already, Mason, you've already been so fucking destroyed on sentience on your own
keep
thing.
posturing. Can you answer the question?
That's not a posture. That's a fucking fact.
No, that's a
I don't
posture.
even have
That's
to
a
go back into
posture.
that. No, so you don't have to bring that up because that's already been done. So what else you got?
Okay, so you conceded on the third thing. You don't care about the expense.
This isn't conceding.
Yes, it is. You said you don't care that banning abortion doesn't stop abortion. You don't care that tens of thousands of women will die if in back alley abortions. Very pro-life of you. You don't care about the expense forced on women. So that's all right. That's all right. You conceded on those three things. I have five. I have five.
Do you know what a straw man is?
I have 5 pillars to my we literally anyone can go back over the record and see this. So that's 3 of my 5 pillars of my central argument. So let's go to the 4th. Access to birth control is a key component, a key element of societal and economic development. This has been demonstrated by an overwhelming amount of sociological data. A 2013 paper compiling 50 years of data demonstrates that access to birth control increases children's college completion, labor force participation, wages, and family incomes. So if you were to ban abortion across the board, then what we would see is a degrowth in the economy. You want to destroy the American economy. Am I getting that right?
Mason, I have already given you my explanation that I come from a deontological standpoint that this is wrong, immoral, evil, should not be done. It doesn't matter what these other things are that you would come up with and say, oh, well, it's going to benefit society.
You want to stay in the nice hypotheticals. I want to stay in the real world where there's consequences for your deranged worldview.
Let me finish. So I don't give a shit what all these. Sure. If you want to say that that's a concession, I don't care. If I don't care what any of these quote unquote benefits are to society, if you are saying that you still have to murder an innocent person to do that,
cool. That's great. I care about the real world. I don't care about your personal morality.
You're just immoral.
No, I'm more moral because I want the greatest amount of I want the greatest amount of well-being in society. See, you conceded. When you read about deontology and Kantian ethics, you should have also read about the opposing side of that, which is teleology. See, I agree with deontology in some perspectives. I agree with teleology.
Clearly not when it comes to rape and murder.
The thing is, I don't dogmatically just look at the world through one view. Sometimes I use a mix of them. Sometimes I use one, sometimes I use the other. There's great, and that's like the utilitarian in me, because I find there to be utility in sometimes looking at things through a deontological perspective. So if you don't, that's fine, but you should have completed your philosophy 101 class and learned about the rest of the moral systems. You think that deontology is the only moral system, and you should have read up on the responses to Kant and Kantian ethics. That's all right that you didn't. I pretty much only have one last question for you. Hold on. You just talked for like 2 minutes. I'm going to respond. Right.
So one, I never said that deontology is my basis for everything, right? I said that in this instance, I come from a deontological standpoint that rape is wrong, murder is wrong. Right. It should be illegal. It doesn't matter what you would say that the quote unquote benefits are to society. You already bit the bullet and conceded that
you bit the bullet and say you'd rather have 5 women,
like
100 women raped than 5.
You talked for like 2 minutes. Can you please shut up so that I can get at least
just
fucking
stop your
30
posturing.
seconds?
Just say what you want to say without the posturing, and I'll let you speak.
If you have a problem with it, then guess what, buddy? You can wait 30 seconds and then you could tell me that you don't fucking like it. You don't have to interrupt me.
All right, go for it.
So here we go. So you already bit the bullet. You already conceded that.
Oh my God, with the posturing, my dude.
You actually said that, oh my God, bro. Okay, I think we're done because you won't even let me speak. So it's done. It's done. You won't even let me speak. You're so intellectually intimidated. You bit the bullet. You already bit the bullet saying that you would rape 5 women if you believe that it would save 100 other women.
I believe in your hypothetical
wrong,
if we knew that 100 would be raped.
So immoral. That is so immoral. I can't even assume. Look, honestly, I feel like this clip right there, that's really the only thing. I want to know what other women.
Your hypothetical.
I want to know what women. I want to know what women.
It was your hypothetical. You said 100 women would be raped.
I want to know what women or victims or even men.
I believed. You said if 100 women would be raped.
He doesn't let you fucking talk. So I do not recommend debating this motherfucker, even if you dunk on him, because this motherfucker won't shut up for you to continue.
Keep posturing, dude. I've got one last question for you. Do you want to answer before you go?
Sure, go ahead. Is it a question that I'm not going to give a shit about?
Yeah, I mean, you conceded on all of my core arguments. So this isn't one of my core arguments. It was just a question I had for you. I have it on good authority that you supported Joe Jorgensen in 2020. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know Joe Jorgensen is pro-choice?
Indeed, I do know that.
Okay, so you're pro-life, but you supported a candidate that was pro-choice. That's not very pro-life of you.
I did support a
that's all I got for you.
Well, hold on. So this is you want to talk about being so fucking bad faith and disingenuous? Oh well, that's the only fucking thing I needed for my clip, so I'm just going to go ahead and just end it right there. Instead of like,
this whole thing is a giant clip for me, my dude.
Instead, it's not a clip for you, I promise you. Instead of saying, Tyler, can you explain to me why you voted for Joe Jorgensen, being that she is pro-choice? You want me to answer that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the reason why, and technically I didn't even vote. I couldn't vote because I had just moved, but I would have voted for her if I was able to. I missed this like cutoff for getting my thing to vote. But anyway. So yes, I did vote for Joe Jorgensen, even though she was pro-choice, because her as the president, that she doesn't have any type of power over being over abortion, right? Trump had already got those wheels going when he made sure that we got the justices that we needed, that if we're going to go ahead and attack Roe v. Wade, that we have what we need to do so, or at least the best chance that we have to do so. She couldn't do anything about it, even though she was pro-choice. She can't just say, you know what, you're out of you are no longer Supreme Court justice just because I don't think that this should go through. She doesn't have the authauthority.
Wait, so is your argument that let me finish. Let me finish. Talking for a while. Come on.
Let me finish. So even though would I want her to be pro-life? Absolutely. But it wouldn't have mattered even if she was pro-choice. She couldn't have stopped the Roe v. Wade from overturning.
Wait, but yet your current position is that you want to use the state to ban abortion. That's completely antithetical to what you just said. You supported Joe Jorgensen.
Mason, can she just relieve Supreme Court justices just because?
No, that's not how it works.
Okay, so that's exactly what I just said. So it doesn't matter if she is pro-abortion and she wants abortion to happen. She can't do fucking anything about it as president of the United States. There's nothing that she could have done.
Okay,
right?
But there was a presidential.
I voted on her. Hold on. I also voted on her. So because she couldn't do anything about that, and because that libertarians, or at least I usually vote my Constitution Party, not the Libertarian Party, but I think she had a better chance of winning. But because she is super anti-gun control, that is what I believe, besides being pro-life, which again we just agreed she can't do any fucking thing about, the Supreme Court justices, that she was the most anti-gun control. That's why I gave her, or would have given her, my vote. But anyway, yeah, I'm done. I have enough of what I need. Make sure you don't fucking delete this fucking video. Make sure this motherfucker stays up, and I think we're good, buddy.